And that's all for now. Here on BBC One, it's time for the news where you are. Have a good night.
Good evening and welcome to the Late Look North. Tonight, why cameras worn by police officers could make criminals less violent and reduce the need for tasers. And a new study says a third of childhood asthma cases in Bradford could be caused by air pollution.
And join me for a full look at the weather for tomorrow and the next few days.
Good evening. West Yorkshire Police say there's been a drop in the number of people being tasered since they introduced body cameras. A report by the force suggests people are less likely to be violent if they're being filmed and officers are less likely to use force. Here's our Home Affairs correspondent, Emma Glasby.
Put it down, fella.
Armed with a samurai sword, a man's been threatening police. This officer is armed with a taser.
Put that down now! Get down! Get down now!
Everything you see has been recorded on the officer's body-worn cameras. The footage will later be used as evidence.
Cuff him. Taser has been authorised and we're approaching the address now.
Tasers are controversial, but now that every operational police officer in West Yorkshire wears a body-worn camera, whenever a taser is used, it's being filmed.
Watch the red dot! Out you come now!
This is Leeds, and a man armed with a knife has been threatening people in the street.
Out you come. Hand on the head.
This time a man surrenders to police without the taser being fired.
Turn round. Do not make any sudden movements.
The camera acts as a backup to us to show exactly what we saw, to justify our decision making at that time. I think the public trust us more because they know that as well as they're being recorded, so are we.
We've had exclusive access to a report by West Yorkshire Police which claims people are less likely to be violent when they know they're being recorded, and police are less likely to use force to resolve a situation. West Yorkshire now has around 2,300 body-worn cameras. Since they were introduced, there's been a 22% increase in the number of times tasers were deployed, but a 27% drop in the number of times the tasers were fired. There are some concerns about the cameras. A campaign group is criticising a Home Office proposal to use them to carry out police interviews.
That is a delicate process that needs to be conducted formally and with the availability of the person questioned to access a lawyer.
Research shows that West Yorkshire police officers are using their cameras more than ever. It's thought footage like this will increasingly be used to prosecute offenders. Emma Glasby, BBC Look North.
Dr Jason Roach from Huddersfield University's Criminology and Policing Centre says the cameras provoke a mixed response.
Well, like many cameras, in people's faces are always a bit of a worry for around rights and everything else. But I'm not too, as a citizen, I'm not too bothered about this because the police have to tell you that they're recording, so it shouldn't be covert. It should be, you know that it's happening. And the cameras have a very good effect on people. Being watched tends to make people tend to behave themselves.
So what are the drawbacks? Suppose there's a scuffle. How reliable would they be?
Well, the technology is only as good as kind of, it's just a camera on the front of a vest, of a police vest. So therefore, if there is a bit of rough and tumble, then you are going to get pictures of the sky and of the ground, and you're going to get a lot of muffled noises. There's no way around that. But at least you can see what happened before and what happened afterwards, and you can kind of piece together kind of what went on the ground.
So they only show one side of the story?
Well, they do. I mean, they show it from the police officer's perspective because it's on the police officer's vest. But, of course, it's a two-way process and it picks up the speech of the police officer and what's being told and the interaction. But if there's other police officers, of course, around with cameras on, that will pick up that police officer.
Do you think they may inflame some situations? For example, suppose someone's distressed or else mental health problems?
Well, they could add to make a bad situation perhaps worse, but I don't think they're going to precipitate, a kind of a violent outburst just because a police officer's wearing a camera. I mean, for example, that might have a taser. That's just as likely to upset someone as well. Yeah, they could. Some people may take umbrage to it, and they might, may think that sort of Big Brother's watching them or what have you. It may make a situation worse, but perhaps that's when you need the footage. You need to see what happened before, and you need to see what happened afterwards. This is about kind of getting an independent witness, if you like, of an event.
Next tonight, the Barnsley MP Dan Jarvis is in dispute with the Labour leadership. It's over his refusal to stand down as an MP while he attempts to be elected as the Mayor of South Yorkshire. Our political editor, James Vincent, is in Barnsley now. James, what's Labour said?
Well, this now becomes a game of chicken between Dan Jarvis and the Labour Party. Who will break first? Now, we found out later this afternoon that the Labour Party had given Dan Jarvis this ultimatum, this deadline to commit to resigning as an MP if he won the South Yorkshire mayoral election. Dan Jarvis, we understand, replied to Labour saying, "I want to do 2 jobs. I think I can do 2 jobs. It's not in the rules that I can't do 2 jobs. I'm going to do it." So it now becomes a bit of a war of attrition between the Labour MP and his party.
To some, it may appear that the Labour Party has it in for Dan Jarvis.
Well, that's what his supporters are saying. They're saying that the timing of Labour's interventions in this matter can only lead to one thought, that either they don't want him to be the Mayor of South Yorkshire and have that profile, or they don't want him to be Barnsley MP any longer. The Labour Party will insist that this is just about their MPs not doing 2 jobs, not having 2 elected roles. But Dan Jarvis will insist that he can do that, and it's only for a temporary period as well.
So what's next, James?
Well, the time is tight. They need to sort all of this out by the 6th of April when the election nominations are in. I suppose Labour could turn around and say to Dan Jarvis, actually, you're not doing what we want you to do, so we're going to find another candidate. That's going to be really hard for them, because finding somebody who will do the job now might be tough, because they might not be that popular in the Labour Party, because 13 Labour MPs came together in Yorkshire today to give Dan Jarvis their backing, and the 4 South Yorkshire councils did the same today. So this is going to go right to the wire, right to the deadline for nominations.
Thank you, James Vincent. More than a third of childhood asthma cases in Bradford could be caused by air pollution, according to a new study by the University of Leeds. Bradford has higher than average rates of asthma among children, and traffic fumes are one of the main causes. Charlotte Leeming reports.
When I run and jump, sometimes I cough.
5-year-old Georgia is at the doctor's surgery for a checkup on her asthma. She started showing symptoms of the lung condition 2 years ago, shortness of breath and wheezing. She now uses an inhaler twice a day.
One day she was struggling at school, and I think school were quite scared because they said she couldn't hardly speak at the time. So I sat at work and I couldn't get to her. So it's quite difficult as a parent.
George's case is far from unique. A new study's found rates of childhood asthma are higher than the national average in Bradford, as are emergency admissions to hospitals. And air pollution is linked to a third of them.
Well, no prizes for guessing what the main culprit is when it comes to air pollution in our cities. It is, of course, all the traffic, the irritants, the pollutants being pumped out of these vehicles every day is directly responsible for 24% of cases of childhood asthma right here in Bradford.
It's damaging our growing children's lungs, and that's happening all across the city. But we've got to be particularly aware, near places like schools where people are doing drop-offs or people are idling their engines. We should be much more conscious about that.
So what actions are the authorities taking to tackle it?
Bradford has had a low emission strategy for about 5 years now, and we've led the rest of West Yorkshire. We're trying to improve public transport, we're trying to get people to walk or cycle, and that helps everybody's health.
The high rates of asthma are a reminder that the well-being of children in Bradford depends on the city cleaning up its air. Charlotte Leeming, BBC Look North, Bradford.
It's been really cloudy today. Abby, where's the sunshine gone?
Don't blame me. We are going to see a bit of it, I think, over the Easter weekend, but tomorrow it's going to be in short supply. Quite a cloudy day, and we're going to see some showers through the morning as well, particularly for parts of South Yorkshire and North Derbyshire. And that's because low pressure is seen in the pressure chart. Friday and Saturday, we are likely to see some rain, but come Easter Sunday, it is at the moment looking mostly dry. Overnight tonight then, yes, it's quite cloudy. We are seeing some clear spells as well, but it is going to be a colder night than the night just gone, so we could see a touch of ground frost. Mostly dry, overnight lows of about 2 or 3 degrees. So a fair amount of cloud around as we start the day tomorrow, and some showers that will start to pep up further south. They could be quite heavy, perhaps a little bit wintry over the highest of ground, but elsewhere a little bit further north, these showers will be, I think, more well scattered, so there'll be more in the way of dry weather, but it is looking like a cloudy day and a colder day as well, with highs tomorrow of about towards the weekend. Now Thursday, I'd say, is looking like a pretty decent day. Certainly through the morning, we'll see a good with all a chunk of drier, brighter weather. Getting cloudier as we head into the afternoon. We will then see some rain as we approach the evening. Friday, we are going to see some outbreaks of rain, and they'll continue overnight into Saturday as well. But they will be interspersed with some breaks and potentially some brighter spells. And this time of year, in the spring sunshine, it might not feel too bad. So I think Saturday, if you're heading out, it's probably going to be a decent day, but I'd grab your brolly if you can. Sunday at the moment is looking mostly dry, and those temperatures will slowly start to climb as we start the new working week. Well, that's it from the late team here at Look North. I'll leave you with your summary, and that's followed tonight by a national forecast.
Good evening. Tuesday turned out to be a tale of two halves. We started off rather cloudy and wet, as you can see by this Weather Watchers picture in Cambridgeshire, but we got there in the end. Some beautiful spells of sunshine in Twickenham, highs of 15 degrees. We even had 16 degrees in Kew Gardens earlier on this afternoon. But the cloud and the rain will start to gather once again into the southwest, and some of it will turn quite wintry to any higher ground, perhaps across Wales and southwest. Further north of that, some clearer skies, a chilly night to come in Scotland, but we still keep some rain fairly persistent in the Northern Isles, accompanied by some gale force gusty winds. Those winds and that rain will linger here, but for Scotland, Northern Ireland and Northern England, not a bad start to your Wednesday. At the same time, that weather front will continue down to the southwest to drive in more wet weather. With any elevation, we could see a little bit of wintriness, and it'll move its way across Wales, southern England, some of it heavy across Channel Coast and into the southeast corner. And that's going to be the story as we go through Wednesday. Slowly brightening up behind, allowing for some sunny spells to come through. A little bit quieter further north, largely quiet with 1 or 2 isolated showers here, but we still keep that rain up into the far north. But look at the difference tomorrow. It will feel noticeably different out there. 7 to 9 degrees, no such luck in terms of those double digits further south, and that is going to allow for clear skies and a chilly start to Thursday morning with a touch of frost for some. The isobars remain fairly well spaced on Thursday, so with those lighter winds, that cold start, but not for long, with this area of low pressure and the weather front circulating around that low will drive in yet more wet weather in from the southwest across Wales, some of it heavy with rumbles of thunder mixed in there as well. The central and eastern areas should stay largely dry for most of the day, and we still run the risk of that onshore breeze making it feel cold in the northeast of Scotland with a scattering of showers. But it's this low pressure down to the southwest which will be the driving force in the story as we move into the Easter weekend, I'm afraid. Circulating around that low, there'll be showers or longer spells of rain, some of them heavy, possibly from time to time, and we stay on the cool side. Now, not the bitterly cold air that we've seen, but nevertheless a cool Easter weekend with some rain at times, some sunny spells. So to summarise it, pretty changeable as we move towards that holiday weekend. Take care.